All right, so today we're going to do a deep dive into something really interesting. NASA astronaut Sunita Williams, and she just got back to Earth.
Yeah.
Um, and she was on the International Space Station a whole lot longer than planned.
Huh?
And you sent over a bunch of info about it all, so I'm hoping we can really unpack what happened and why it even matters, for space exploration and stuff going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. So the main thing we're looking at is this Sunita Williams returns to Earth after extended space mission document.
Right.
And it talks about how, she was supposed to be up there for like 8 days.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Aboard Boeing Starliner. They're calling it Calypso.
Mm-hmm.
And it launched June 5th, 2024. But it turned into way longer than that.
Oh, wow. So way longer. How much longer are we talking here?
Yeah, so it ended up being over 9 months that she had to stay up there.
Oh, my gosh. Okay. So what happened? It was only supposed to be 8 days. What made it turn into a 9-month thing?
Right. So shortly after they got to the ISS, there was a problem with Calypso's thrusters.
Okay.
Those are the little engines that move the spacecraft around in space. And NASA was just yeah, it's not safe to try and come back down to Earth with those things messed up.
Oh, wow. So, that's a huge difference, right? Yeah. 8 days to 9 months. I can't even imagine. What did they even do up there for that whole time?
Yeah, it actually turned out to be super productive.
Yeah.
They did over 150 scientific experiments.
Oh, wow.
Which is just wild.
Yeah.
Think about all the data they got just on how the human body reacts to being in low gravity for so long.
Right. Yeah.
Bone density loss over a really extended time. That's huge for planning even longer missions in the future.
That's so interesting.
Yeah. And of course, keeping the ISS running, doing spacewalks, all that good stuff.
So this unplanned extension actually helped them get a bunch of information that they might not have gotten otherwise?
Exactly. And if you zoom out and look at the bigger picture, this is giving us so much info on the problems we need to solve for deep space travel, to the moon and Mars.
Yeah, for sure. So they didn't even come back on the Starliner, right? How did they get back?
So NASA used SpaceX's Crew Dragon, and they're calling this one Freedom.
Okay.
And it undocked from the ISS around 1:05 a.m. Eastern Time on March 18th of this year.
Wow.
Yeah. And the report describes it coming back in as a fireball.
Oh, wow.
All that friction with the atmosphere.
Right.
And then they landed safely in the Atlantic off Florida.
So fireball landing, that's crazy compared to just blasting off in a rocket.
Yeah, totally different experience.
Did everything go okay with getting them out of the ocean and all that?
Yeah, the teams were there super fast and got them over to NASA's Johnson Space Center for all the medical checks and everything.
Okay, so after almost a year in space, their bodies must have had to go through some crazy readjustment.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
The report mentions 45 days of rehab. Why is that so important?
It's all about how our bodies just change when there's no gravity for so long. Muscles get weak bones, lose minerals, even your heart and blood vessels change.
Wow.
So they need that time to slowly get used to Earth's gravity again, build their strength back up and just get back to normal.
Yeah, I bet it's learning to walk all over again or something.
Yeah, in a way.
So it was really cool to see how people reacted to her coming back.
Yeah.
There were celebrations in her family's village in India.
Oh,
and
yeah.
even Prime Minister Modi congratulated her.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It really shows you how much people all over the world care about space and, these astronauts doing these amazing things.
Right. So for everyone listening, what do you think are the biggest takeaways from this whole thing?
I think there are a few big ones. First, NASA's ability to just roll with the punches, when something goes wrong.
Right.
And also having different companies like SpaceX being able to step in and help.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah. And then the biggest one for me is all the data they got on what happens to the human body in space for a super long time.
Yeah.
That's going to be so helpful for planning missions to the moon and Mars.
Yeah, totally. And Sunita Williams being such an experienced astronaut, that just makes everything even more valuable,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's so wild how what seemed like a huge problem, turned into this amazing chance to learn so much.
Yeah, it really makes you think.
It does. What other times have we had something go wrong, in science or exploration or anything, and then it actually gave us some information that we never expected?
Yeah, and maybe sometimes we're too quick to call something a failure.
Yeah.
When maybe it's actually a hidden opportunity.
Yeah, that's something to think about.
Yeah, definitely food for thought.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this was a great conversation.
Yeah, I had a good time.
All right, see you next time.
Sounds good.